Listen to this.
Two smaller, very superficial wounds on his...
What did you say?
On his back. He was laying on his superficial wounds on his smaller, very superficial wounds on stab wounds in his chest, and had 4 significant stab wounds in his chest and 2 smaller, very superficial wounds on his...
Now, notice here she says that he had significant wounds to his chest. And then he had two other superficial wounds to his chest. Why did she not say that all the wounds to his chest were significant? Because 2 of them were superficial, which means minor cuts. But I'm sitting here reading these texts that she's telling her public that superficial does not. It means directional. Directional. To the lay person, some idiot said, they want you to think that it just means a minor wound. And here she described it as a minor wound. Listen to it again.
Very superficial wounds on his and had 4 significant stab wounds in his chest and 2 smaller, very superficial wounds on his...
Now, what do you mean by superficial here, Danelle? Because what you're trying to tell everybody is that it's directional. Superficial does mean minor wound, and the wounds that Darlie had, some were described as deep. The one in your arm was described as deep. But look at where that cut is, and take your finger and pinch that, and see how close that is. There's not much there, not much muscle or fatty tissue there, so it'd be easy to go deep there. Just for the ones in the back again. Here's Danelle. So earlier she was arguing that word superficial did not mean what she just said it means.
Poor Damon had 4 significant stab wounds in his chest and 2 smaller, very superficial wounds on his.
Gotcha, bitch!
He was laying on his tummy, and his stab wounds were to his back. Devin had been laying on his back, and his stab wounds were on his chest. Darlie wakes up from this struggle. She has no idea what's going on. She wakes up in a panic because Damon is pushing her shoulder. Mommy.
Why would she be panicking if he just tapping her on the shoulder? Why would she be panicking already? Think about this. You're laying there half asleep, and one of your little ones comes, taps you on the shoulder, and goes, "Mommy, mommy." Your first initial instinct is probably just to, "Hey, what do you want?" Not to wake up in a panic. Why? She had no need to wake up in a panic if it was just Damon tapping her on the shoulder. No need.
She sits up feeling very alarmed in a panic, and sees that there's a man towards...
So she would be alarmed by her child tapping her shoulder while she's napping. I've had that happen to me. I'll be asleep on the couch or something, watching TV. One of the kids walked up and said, "Daddy, Daddy." They probably want something to drink or something like that. Or they can't sleep, or "Can I get up there with you?" And my initial reaction is not to jump up and be in a panic. My initial reaction is probably, first I'll shoo them away. I'm sleeping. And then I've had it happen.
The end of the living room towards leaving the couch, going into the kitchen, and she gets up and follows this man, feeling in a complete panic, and sees him exit.
Now you mean one of her kids just woke her up. She sees a man. All right, and she gets up. Her instinct is to follow the man, not cover her children. Follow the man. I don't know. Why would you follow him if you were going to do something? You weren't going to do anything. What were you going to do? I mean, you had a knife and you turned around. So why follow him?
Through the laundry room door, through the garage. In that time frame, glass broke.
Broken glass everywhere.
Darlie remembers hearing the glass break. Doesn't see it actually happen, but it did break.
Yeah, well, the only way that it could break. So are you saying the intruder was at the garage and then the glass broke? According to her theory, the intruder had to have bumped it and broke that glass on his way out. And here comes Darlie with bare feet, half asleep, as you say. And she's able to go through that glass several times and not get a single cut or scratch on the bottom of those feet. James Cron is on the stand, and he says, this photograph shows drops of blood and bloody footprints in the area under the vacuum. Greg Davis, 007. Could you also observe any broken glass under this area where the vacuum cleaner had been? Cron. Yes. Davis. Did you find any broken glass resting on top of the two bloody footprints? Cron. Yes, there were glass on it, but the glass wasn't bloody. Darlie's blood had dripped in onto the vacuum cleaner while it was standing upright, as well as after it was tipped over. Her smeared blood was also on the handle. She became aware of this evidence through discovery, which explains why she testified that she'd been leaning over the vacuum for support and then kind of took it with me when she sat down. However, that blood wasn't deposited in the family room. It happened in the kitchen after Darlie inflicted her own wounds at the sink. Here is Ryan Kester, who actually at 13 years old was the administrator of Kathy Ramsey's Darlie support group. She made him the administrator. And he and I used to go at it quite a bit because I didn't think a child belonged there at all. I would tell him these people will use you any way they can. No, they won't, Brian. He blocked me and kicked me out of the group and everything else. So I looked him up. And I had spoken with his mother. And I said, look, these people are savages. These people are going to manipulate him. I think he needs to study the case a little bit more. They've got him out here as a true crime sleuth genius, which he still does true crime. He's very smart, very intelligent young man. But I told her, I said, just have him look into the case and before he's out here with these people. And he looks into the case, he no longer supports Darlie. This is the actual wine rack that was from Darlie's house. He purchased it. He bought it. You can see how the wine glasses hang upside down. Now, just bumping into them doesn't knock them out of there. You have to flick them out of there with your hand. So you can see Exhibit 68, the wine glass, right here, and the sink would be over here. Damon's body was found just a few steps away from right here. But the trail from the sink to where Devin and Damon both were, she would have to keep coming through here. You can see the footprints right here. You can see the crown of the glass there. You can see it right here. I mean, it's right in the way. It's right here next to the vacuum cleaner, which, Darlie said that she used it to lean on because she wasn't feeling right, but blood was on top of it and on the side of it. She didn't even mention that in testimony until she saw in discovery. Then she mentioned in testimony, but she didn't mention it any other time. As far as the vacuum cleaner goes, some people said, well, maybe the intruder put it in her way because she was following him. But no, you can tell by how that cord is tucked up under it like that, just like the FBI profiler Alan Brantley testified to, that it wasn't slung at her at all. But my question is, how did she not cut her feet? There's a piece of glass there, 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 one right there. There's glass everywhere.